We're not taking any chances.
Okay, welcome to PC3.
This is a high-risk environment for handling high-risk specimens. In my hand is a deadly bacteria that causes a fatal disease. Here in North Queensland, so far this wet season, it's killed 30 people. And scientists are trying to figure out why this year, why there's so many more than previous wet seasons. Queensland's tropical north is a place where beauty belies danger.
If you live here, you know where not to swim. You know not to swim in the ocean because there's bloody jellyfish. There's crocodiles. Everything in the tropics can kill you, and I think this is something else that's trying to get me at the same time. A wire feeds through my arm to the top of my heart.
When we met Luke Bantoft in his parents' backyard, he was 2 days out of hospital and afraid to go home. Convinced right here in the centre of Cairns, he contracted the deadly bacteria by chance, completely unaware he could have been breathing it in.
Well, the only theory that I have, Tom, is my house backs onto a creek. It's called Saltwater Creek. I was breathing in this pungent smell when it would rain. I don't garden, I don't dig in dirt, so it has to be airborne, mate. It has to be.
His theory's not out of the question. Melioidosis, the Australian-born disease that almost killed him, is caused by a microscopic organism that lives in the soil called Burkholderia pseudomallei. It's listed as a biowarfare agent by the US Centre for Disease Control for its potential to be weaponised. The bacteria thrives in hot and humid conditions, common in Australia's top end and parts of Asia. Rain lifts it to the surface. Then it gets into the bloodstream, either through cuts or scratches, or into the lungs when it's aerosolised and inhaled.
My body was shutting down, was attacking my lungs, and in turn of also having type 1 diabetes I was going into renal failure. It felt like my kidneys were in an oven, just shrinking constantly. So everything was just wrong.
Having never heard of melioidosis, Luke spent 12 excruciating days in hospital, finding out firsthand people with existing illnesses and weakened immunities are most at risk, and diabetics like him are top of that list. He's sure it's taken years of his life.
Sitting here, I'm fine, but as soon as I walk around, I feel like an 80-year-old man with emphysema. It just takes all my energy, all of my breath. And I think too, mate, if I wasn't a diabetic, I wouldn't have gone to the doctors, and I'd probably be dead.
So it's been an incredibly busy 3 months, and it puts a lot of pressure on the health service as a whole.
Since the wet season began in November, 1/3 of the 114 cases in Cairns have ended up in the hospital's intensive care ward.
And even with the well-resourced setting that we have, to still have 10% die from the condition is heartbreaking.
It's also unprecedented. 30 Queenslanders have succumbed to melioidosis, many already battling chronic illnesses from lung diseases to cancers. Some survivors have lost limbs, suffered sepsis and skin sores, or other severe infections like pneumonia.
So this is by far the biggest number of cases we've seen since we started looking at the infection back from 1997. So back then we'd maybe get 5, maybe 10 cases at the most per year. And we saw a real increase from around 2016, 2017. But even then the numbers weren't anything like what we're seeing this year. I think there's a number of things that are occurring for us to see this huge increase.
One working theory is this. Literally this, what I'm driving on. It's the Bruce Highway upgrade south of Cairns. Work's been done in several stages over several years. But before it began, case numbers were pretty steady. Since the work started, case numbers have gone up year on year. Dr. Smith's research found 1/3 of cases before 2019 had popped up within 2 kilometres of construction, noting the motorway was built through a clay-like soil known to harbour the bacteria. This area south of Cairns remains a hotspot for new cases. and there are still several stages of work to go. Queensland's Roads Department told 7:30, should health investigations confirm ground disturbing works are a factor, it'll implement any recommendations from experts to meet the highest level of safety. There's also this idea that another contributing factor could be natural phenomena like these huge landslips that you can see over the top of the sugarcane there. It's believed these landscape-changing events, including floods, are exposing the deadly bacteria, which could help explain why so many previously unaffected communities have also seen rises in fatal cases. Still in the hot tropics, we've come to Townsville to meet a team of scientists who are trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, good to see you. Good to meet you. Thanks for coming all this way.
We think melioidosis is on the move. We have very little knowledge, and it's quite ironic since we've known about it for quite a while, the actual environmental attributes that it really prefers, right? We're going to be working on that. Now you're talking.
That's nice.
Jeff Warner's been studying the disease for 3 decades and is one of several scientists who believe it could flourish in new areas as the climate and environment changes. They've just kicked off a 5-year collaborative study sampling soils and waterways across northern Australia to map where melioidosis exists and predict where it might end up.
There are literally squillions, zillions of microorganisms in that 10 grams of soil. And we've got to try and find the melioidosis organism in that mix, right? That zoo of bacteria. Right, so come on in.
To study the deadly bacteria up close, we've come to an airlocked lab.
That little organism, which looks sort of beautiful, that's killed almost 1 in 5 people that have contracted that in northern Queensland this wet season.
They're investigating if the bacteria is changing in the same way a flu can, becoming better adapted to the climate and or the people who live here.
It replicates, produces proteins that are toxins to our body, and that's fundamentally what causes the fatality. In the end, we don't really know why so many cases have happened.
A medical mystery prompting calls for more collaboration to stop the fatal cycle.
What the concern is, if the rates stay as high as what they have been this year, or indeed they increase, then we're just going to see a lot of people with the disease.
So it's a matter of getting the message out there, mate, and letting people know how serious it is and do the right thing, wear protective gear and just be bloody careful. I can't get sick again. I know next time I'm not going to be so lucky, mate.